Hey guys, first of all, to get started, we need to actually connect Claude with Blender. It's pretty straightforward with the new update that came on with Claude. So as you're watching this video, it should be straightforward. So all we need to do is actually open Claude, go to settings, and once we're in settings, you'll see something called connectors. We'll click on connectors and we'll browse connectors. We'll see all these different things that Claude can connect to, which is quite insane. And one of the ones that they added recently was Blender. So it made, originally you'd have to download an MCP and install it through code and all this stuff, but the new updated made it quite easy. So all we need to do now is just click on that plus icon you saw and click install. So now we install it. I'm going to skip through this part, so once it's installed, it's only about 20 megabytes, so it should install quite quickly. Okay, so as you can see, it's installed. We can just go to configure and then we can see all this stuff. So you can change your settings here that needs approval or always allow. I leave mine on always allow because Claude is pretty good with security and stuff, but if you feel like you should put it on needs approval, basically all it's going to do is before it does anything in Blender, it's always going to ask you to approve it. So sometimes when I'm trying to get things done fast, I just keep it on always allow. So now that we've done that, we actually need to go and download the MCP on blender.org. The link will be in the course. So you'll be able to just click on the link and get taken here, or you can just type in blender.org/lab/MPC server /hashtag add-on. And then you'll see MCP server. All we need to do is just download over here under add-on. We click download, and then you'll see it over here. So I'm just going to make a new file for this course. I'm going to make it stylized creature. Okay, so I'm just going to keep my add-on here. So I'm just going to download it. I've already downloaded the add-on before, so that's why it says 2 here. You should have just MCP /1.0.0. So once we've I'm just going to Control C this. So when we install it in Blender, it's easier to find. So just click on the top here, Control C, which is for copy. And we're going to click save. So now that that's saved, we can open up Blender. So whenever we open up Blender, it's always going to be this. So we just need to click to the side, and then we're in our Blender scene. So to install add-ons, we need to go to the top here, your top left. We click edit. We go to preferences and we go install from disk. You might be here in interface. You just need to go over to add-ons. So once you're at add-ons, you'll see a drop-down menu and you just click install from disk. Remember the copy thing that we did? So we press Control V now instead of Control C in this text over here, this little block. So we press enter, we double click on that, and it should be installed. So all we need to do now is type MCP in the search for the add-ons, MCP, and then we just look here and it says okay, connected. Our port is 9876, so that's just how Claude is going to connect. So once you've done this, you don't ever really want to go through this whole process again. So at the bottom left of this this box, we can go save preferences. So now all our add-ons we've added in the past or during a session will always just be saved for future. So we can close that up now. So now we need to actually close Claude again. So let's close Claude and quit it. So we're going to go down to this triangle, quit Claude, and reopen it. So every time we install a skill on Claude or update something to Claude itself, you always need to restart it so it has all those updates. So let's test that it's actually connected. Hi Claude. Let me actually spell Claude right. I did spell it right. Hi Claude. I have installed the Blender connector. Can you please check to see if it's connected? So then we'll say, oh, it's connect as well. It's going to try and connect. Bring directly live, check. It's going to get summary info, custom. There we go. Connected and responding status, Blender is live. So yeah, we've connected to Blender successfully. So now we can actually get started with the rest of the course now that Claude's actually finally connected. And yeah, see you in the next one. Hi there guys, so yeah, we are now in part 2. So this is the creature we're going to be creating in Blender. We're going to first block out the character in this episode, and then we're going to make the same type of eyes, block out the teeth, the tongue, and then go over texturing and fur and etc. So we're going to use Claude to help with the fur and in different places. So at the moment, Claude isn't amazing at doing blocking out. So what we're going to do now, just to start off, is actually block out the character ourselves. So to get started with the block out, let's pull up our reference image so we can actually view it. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the top tabs. I'm going to go over to UV editing, and then once we're at UV editing at the top, we're going to click on the top left by editor type, and we're going to go to image editor. And then once we're here, we're going to open our image that we've saved. Let me just put this here. So we're going to open up the image that we saved, locate our file. So I'm just finding the file here. And this is where my image lives. So what we'll just need to do now is just double click on this, and we'll have our image here so we can keep the block out and not have to use, in case you have one screen, for example. Okay, so then we're going to get started. So right now, I was in edit mode. I had tab open. I might be able to put a no. But okay, let's get started. So all we need to do now is we go over to this modifiers tab, and we go add modifier, and we add subdivisions. So we search for subdivisions, subdivision surface, and then as you can see, it will give us from our square, we'll have now a circle, because it's subdividing our mesh. So all we need to do now is we can up our levels by clicking here, and we can up it to how many we want. So this is just, we're going to get started with just this base mesh before we move on to the actual character. So this is how you would add subdivisions. There's an easier way. You can press Control and 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on to actually scale it with a shortcut. So just holding down Control and clicking 1, 2, 3 will also make it so you can, instead of manually clicking, it's a lot faster to just press Control 1, right? So let's get started. So we'll start with the base body. So all we need to do is just press S and Z. So we say scaling on the Z axis. And all I did here to go to front view is I just clicked on the X icon at the top right. So we click on that, we go to the front, and then S, Z, scale. And then we can slightly, I think there might be a better way. Let's Control R and add a loop here. So if you press Control R, that's for adding loops to your mesh. And what that will do is it will just give us more geometry to work with. So if you press, while you're in edit mode after you press tab, you can then press 1, 2 or 3 to go between face select, edge select and vertex select. So 1, 2 and 3 in edit mode is to change what you actually want to press. So 3 is face, 2 is edge and 1 is vertices. And it's different because you press Control 3 for subdivisions, and then when you're in edit mode you just press 1, 2 or 3. So now that we have the Control R with a loop cut just in the middle of the mesh, we can go back into front view. We can alt click on this loop here on edge select, so 2, alt click on that edge, and then we just scale it up with S. So we just press S, scale it up, and then we're going to press G and Z and bring it down slightly to add a bit of a tummy. So as you can see, we have a bit of a tummy now, and then the bottom over here looks like it's a little bit smaller, and he said it's a little bit smaller, so we're going to make S. We're going to press 3 and S to scale the top face in, and then there we go. We have the top face scaled in slightly, and we're getting to just, it's very simple at the moment, but we're getting somewhere. And then I'm going to do the same at the bottom, just scale it in a little bit slightly. So now we have like this egg shape. So now we're going to press Shift A, Mesh, we're going to add another cube, Shift A, another cube, and then we're going to press Control 2 to add the subdivisions, and then G and Z just to move it up for the head now. So then all we need to do now is just scale the head up, because the head's quite big, right? So scale the head up, and you can see that the head also has like this egg shape here. So we're also going to give it that egg shape by adding in an edge loop with Control R, drag it down, 3, face, and S to scale, and then let's maybe bring this head down, because this obviously doesn't look right, so we GZ, and then maybe bring this edge loop up a bit, so it looks something like that. And then we just scale it up a little bit more, and there we go, we have a big head. And maybe the body can be a little bit bigger, so we just scale it up. It's all by eye, so like you need to, you eventually get the eye for it the more you play around with it. So you can try and follow along, but you can also just have an eye for it. So all I'm doing now is I'm just trying to get it to the similar shape that the bear has it. Scale it up a bit like that. That should be good. And then I'm actually just going to Control 3 to give it more edge loops. So now I think it might be exciting to add the ears. So you see our bear get closer. So I'm going to Shift A, add another cube, and then press Control 3, and then bring it all the way to the top, and there's our new cube. Then we're going to press S and X to scale it to make it thinner for the ear, right? So we need to make a thinner ear. So S and X to scale it inwards. We're going to go into edit mode again, and we're going to press 3 for face select. And then here's a new key we're about to learn. So if you press I, it insets your current mesh. So if like right now, you can see it just adds edge loops all around, and this way we can actually extrude in. I'll show you now, but that's basically what we're trying to achieve. So all we need to do now is press Control Z, and then I'm going to go bring it in. So you can kind of try and get like roughly where you want it to be. Like this square is where we're going to extrude in. So you must just think, you must press I, drag it into roughly where you think that the ear should be. So I'm going to do it roughly about in the middle. Then I'm going to press E to extrude, and I'm going to extrude it inwards to give it that hole, right? So now what we need to do is it's kind of got more of like a distance here, as you can see. So I'm just going to go into edge select with 2, press S and Y, and just make it wider. As you can see, we just made it wider slightly like that. And then we could add another edge loop with Control R, and then bring it in with G and X to give it more roundness. So all I did there is I went to the middle of the inset that we did for the extrude, press Control R and added an inset there. So now we just need to press G, X, and pull it out slightly on the X axis. So now we're just going to go back to the front view. We're going to go S to scale downwards, R, which is a new one now, so rotate, R to rotate, and then S double Z, and it's scale it up because I think it's a little bit small. And as you can see now that I'm looking at it, we're still going to add fur, and fur takes up a lot of space, but I kind of want to make the inside smaller. So if you maybe had the same issue, so now you just need to select that edge loop and then scale inwards. And then as you can see, it looks a little bit better like that. So I'm just going to, all I did there was shade smooth, which is not necessary right now. So if you right click on it, you can say shade smooth. If you right click, you can also shade flat, and that's just whether it's going to be smooth or not, as you can see. So now we've done this side, and now I don't really want to make another ear and try and place it again and all that. So we're going to add another modifier called mirror modifier. So let's find mirror, add it. And as you can see, it's not in the right place. We just click on this mirror object. We click there. As you can see, it's still wrong because we're on the y-axis, and right now it's mirroring on the x-axis. So we just put this x-axis off and put the y-axis on. And now we're on the y-axis. So now we just scale it up. And I think maybe we scale the head up a bit more because it's quite stylized, so it's got quite a big head. So then we can maybe even make the ears slightly thicker by S, X, and scale. So it's slightly bigger like that. I think this bear is slowly starting to come along. Let's scale the bottom of the head in a bit. I want to make it a little bit smaller. That's looking good. Okay, let's move on now to the legs. So we're going to go Shift A. We're going to add a cube. Control 3 to subdivide it, S, Z to scale. You can see the outline of it, so we don't particularly need to know where it is, and then we're just going to scale it down and move it with G. So every time we move anything, we just press G. I'm going to scale it up a little bit more. And then now you can see his foot's kind of flat. We're going to add all these details in later with Dino Topo. And now we're just going to press Control R, drag it down, and then you can see we have a flatter leg, or like the flat foot. And because of the fur, we don't need to go into too much detail, which is nice. And then all we need to do now is just mirror it again, like we did with the ears. So add another modifier, object, mirror on the y-axis, and then there we go. We've got our feet. So I think we just need to bring them up a bit more, and then scale them so there's a bit of space in between, something like that. Maybe bring it up a bit because he doesn't have big legs. And I think to give it a little bit more detail, we could add another edge loop here, bring it slightly down, and actually just scale it so we have that like roundness, right? So Control R, bring it down a bit so it's just under, and then S and scale. And then I might even do it, press 3 to go into face select and make the bottom of his feet slightly smaller like that. So you can see we kind of got a nice base for his feet. Okay, last thing, we need to make his arms, but I think we've gotten further enough in this first video. We're going to move on to the next one, do the arms, and start getting all our Dino Topo settings ready for sculpting.